Welcome to Healthcare Signals That Matter with me, Meghana Arun Pillai, powered by Intent.Health. This week, 7 major signals emerged across the healthcare landscape. Healthcare funding is increasingly shifting toward mental health and public health preparedness. Gene therapy continues moving closer to commercialization. Artificial intelligence is expanding from drug discovery into laboratory automation. Women's health is becoming a major growth market. Mergers and acquisitions remain active despite regulatory scrutiny. And vaccine innovation continues advancing even as vaccine governance becomes increasingly political. Let's get into the signals shaping healthcare this week. Signal 1 of the week. Public health preparedness is becoming a permanent investment. Public health dominated headlines again this week. The CDC activated $107 million in emergency Ebola funding. The US government continued reassuring the public that Ebola risks surrounding the 2026 World Cup remain extremely low. Meanwhile, health experts are expanding surveillance systems and preparedness infrastructure developed over the last several years. The US Health Department also announced more than $700 million in new funding for mental health and addiction programs nationwide. Why this matters? Healthcare spending is increasingly shifting from treatment toward preparedness. Governments are investing in outbreak response, surveillance systems, mental health infrastructure, and crisis readiness. The signal is clear. Public health is no longer viewed as emergency spending. It is becoming a permanent budget priority. Signal 2 of the week. Vaccines are entering a new era of innovation. Moderna had a major week. FDA staff concluded that data supports effectiveness of Moderna's flu vaccine in older adults. Days later, FDA advisors voted in favor of the vaccine. Meanwhile, Merck secured approval for its pneumococcal vaccine in high-risk children and teenagers. Why this matters? The vaccine market is evolving beyond COVID. The next growth areas include influenza, pneumococcal disease, personalized vaccines, and oncology vaccines. The industry's focus is shifting from pandemic response toward life cycle vaccine innovation. Signal 3 of the week. Gene therapy is moving closer to commercial reality. Several developments reinforce the growing maturity of gene therapy. uniQure received FDA clearance to seek approval for its Huntington disease gene therapy. Biogen announced plans to acquire RayThera in a deal worth up to $1 billion. Researchers also reported promising new findings in advanced therapies targeting difficult diseases. Why this matters? For years, gene therapy was viewed as an experimental science. Now, the conversation is shifting toward regulatory approvals, commercial launches, strategic acquisitions, and market access. Gene therapy is gradually becoming a healthcare business category rather than a research category. Signal 4 of the week. AI is expanding into the laboratory. One of the most fascinating stories this week involved robotics and AI. Researchers demonstrated that automated systems can identify hidden cancer cells that human researchers frequently miss during drug testing. Why this matters? Most AI discussions focus on physicians and diagnostics, but the larger opportunity may be inside laboratories. AI is increasingly helping researchers to improve trial quality, detect patterns, reduce human error, and accelerate drug development. The future laboratory may be as automated as the future hospital. Signal 5 of the week. Women's health is becoming a major market. Demand for menopause treatments continues to surge. This week, progesterone shortages emerged as demand outpaced supply. Separately, federal officials proposed updates to testosterone therapy labeling, reflecting growing attention on hormone-based therapies. Why this matters? Women's health is rapidly becoming one of healthcare's most important growth markets. For years, menopause care remained unserved. Today, demand is accelerating across hormone therapies, digital health, preventive care, and specialty pharmaceuticals. Companies that ignore this category are increasingly being forced to pay attention. Signal 6 of the week. Healthcare deal making remains strong, but regulators are watching. Healthcare M&As remained active this week. Biogen pursued Raythera. Jazz Pharmaceuticals signed an antibody discovery partnership worth up to $876 million. Adaptive Biotechnologies announced plans to separate its immune medicine platform. At the same time, regulators required Aurobindo Pharma to divest products before completing an acquisition. Why this matters? Healthcare companies continue seeking growth through partnership and acquisitions. However, regulators are signaling that consolidation will receive increasing scrutiny. The future may involve more partnerships, more licensing deals, and more targeted acquisitions, but a few unrestricted mega mergers. Signal 7 of the week. The healthcare economy is under pressure. Several stories pointed to financial stress across healthcare markets. Centene offered buyouts after losing Affordable Care Act membership. Pfizer announced a CFO transition. Eliseo's pancreatic cancer program disappointed investors after missing clinical trial goals. At the same time, legal battles continued around infant formula products, recalls, and product liability. Why this matters? Healthcare remains one of the fastest growing industries, but growth is becoming uneven. Organizations increasingly face pressure from membership fluctuations, reimbursement changes, clinical trial risk, product safety expectations, and investor demands. The healthcare economy is becoming more selective about where capital flows. Before we wrap up, here are several additional developments worth watching. FDA approval expanded treatment options for children with bleeding disorders. NARA issued a nationwide infant formula recall over botulism concerns. An experimental heart drug showed potential benefits for kidney repair, highlighting growing interest in multi-organ therapies. Mead Johnson secured a new trial after a court reversed a $60 million infant formula verdict. These stories may appear isolated today, but could become larger healthcare trends tomorrow. So, what were the healthcare signals that mattered this week? Public health preparedness is becoming a permanent investment. Vaccine innovation continues accelerating. Gene therapy is moving toward commercialization. AI is expanding into laboratory research. Women's health is becoming a major growth market. Healthcare deal making remains strong despite regulatory oversight. And financial discipline is becoming increasingly important across the healthcare ecosystem. The bigger signal is this: healthcare's future is being shaped by three forces simultaneously: innovation, regulation, and resilience. Organizations that can balance all three will be best positioned to win. I'm Meghana Arun Pillai, and this has been Healthcare Signals That Matter, powered by Intent.Health. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.